Ready?
I am, Ben.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur Podcast. I'm leaving that in. That's too funny.
I hope so.
Welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur Podcast. I'm Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador of flow. I am here with the big guy as usual, Matt Vi.
Yeah, Benny.
How you doing, dude?
Benny. What's going on, man? I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing good too, man. We just had a mastermind with some of our clients, which is absolutely, a blast, when everybody shows up. And
we got to get them talking in there, man.
I know. We got to get them talking in there. It's one of those things where they come and they love to listen. And I feel like they just want, it's like a podcast in front of a live studio audience. But
the laugh track.
But yeah. We need to get you guys in there, meeting each other and collaborating and making connections. So regardless, it was 2 days before Christmas edition. This is coming out on Friday, Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to everybody out there tomorrow.
Yep.
And Merry Christmas Eve today, Matt.
Yeah, Benny.
We got. It's the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it can get a little bit stressful.
Yep.
Right. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, and I'll let everybody know how to follow us and that kind of stuff.
So we're gonna talk about anxiety. Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to recruiting, especially when it comes to recruiting, not anxiety when it comes to Christmas, right? I know some people get anxious around Christmas. They don't get, all the shopping's not done and everything. So they're worried about that. That's not the kind I'm talking about. I'm talking about recruiting anxiety and how to get past it.
Yeah, I like it. Well, guys, before you get all anxious, make sure you hit that follow and subscribe button wherever you are. There's no better time than the present than to go to prospectboomerang.com. I'm going to switch it up. I usually say Brokerpreneur Podcast. Go to prospectboomerang.com first today and check out all the cool things that Matt and I have going on there. We've added, a few updates to the page. So make sure that you check everything. We got a new blog that came out about recruiting that, has absolutely gone off the charts as far as, what people are looking at on our page. So I hope that you guys get a lot of value out of that.
Is that the one through .loop? Is that the one we did with .loop, or is that a different one?
Yeah, that one comes out next week. This one, gosh, it was talking about recruiting being is it a journey or is it a destination?
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you.
Yep. So that's a good one, guys. We also have a podcast that goes along with that as well. So make sure you go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. So Matt,
Benny,
be honest with yourself, man. That's what everybody needs to look in the mirror and say. Just be honest with yourself, and say, why am I getting stressed, or why am I getting anxious, and what can I do about it, right?
Yeah. So if you get into the habit of giving yourself a pass on doing the things that you're supposed to do when it comes to recruiting, they become really comfortable with you. Yeah. And as soon as you become comfortable with the things that you're not supposed to be doing, you get really anxious when it comes time to do the things you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah, right? which is easy to do. Right?
Yeah, everybody does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was easy, right, there would be no need for the Brokerpreneur Podcast.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So
right?
You just gotta roll your sleeves up and dig in and first of all, just be honest with yourself, right? Are you avoiding it because you're scared of it?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's where you've got to start, right? And then sometimes let's talk about that for just a second, right? So what are some of the reasons why people say, whenever we're talking, why they're not getting their recruiting done, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are busy with sales.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's absolutely part of it. A lot of them say they don't have a plan, right? They do the recruiting assessment and they just come clean and they're like, I don't have a plan, right?
Yeah, I recruit when I got time.
Absolutely.
And I never got time.
That's exactly right. Yep. And they have just as much time as everyone else does.
Exactly right.
Okay. And then some people are honest and they're straightforward and they're like, it's just not a priority. Let's go back to the sales thing, right? A lot of people are doing sales to keep their doors open, right? Or they're doing sales because they're really comfortable with it, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they've always done, and they want to transition. They know that other people contributing to the company dollar is what needs to happen, but they just struggle with that just a little bit because they're having a hard time prioritizing it, right?
Yeah, it's that loss of control sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can go back into what I know and what I can do and what I'm comfortable with, and people are calling me saying, "Hey, do you want to work with?" And I get it, right? Yep. I completely so get it, right? Yep. It's very easy to be very comfortable in that. If you want to win at recruiting, you got to get away from all of those things, and all of those things are excuses.
Yes.
Okay. Here's So this is why we have to differentiate.
Yep.
Okay. Those are all factors or excuses or byproducts or distractions or whatever you want to call them. Anxiety is a feeling.
Yeah.
That's why it stops us from doing the things that we need to, is because we feel first.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we want to feel good, we shy away from anxiety.
Right.
Okay? So sometimes we don't even realize that we're not doing the things that we need to do because we're working so hard to be in homeostasis, right?
Yeah.
We're working so hard to be comfortable. We don't even realize that we're going, hey, I'm avoiding the things that make me uncomfortable. I'm avoiding the things that make me anxious. So I'm not, making the connections that I need to. I'm not reaching out to people after they didn't pick up the phone the first time that I called them. I'm not, when I send my cards out, I'm not really digging into what's going on with the person's production so that when I send a handwritten card out, it can really be connected with what's going on with them. I'm not doing all those things because I'm not comfortable with them. They don't feel right.
Yeah.
If you want to get good at them, you have to change your mindset.
Yep.
The only way that you're going to get good at recruiting is if you look at them different and you force yourself to earn the right to feel different about them. Okay?
Yeah. So what you're saying is this morning, as I was getting dressed and I was getting closer to the end of my belt,
right?
It's like one hole left.
Right.
That I probably shouldn't have had that cheesecake for lunch.
He told me he was on a diet today of sausage, biscuits, and cheesecake.
No, dessert. I didn't.
Dessert.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta keep my options open, right? Like you can't just be cheesecake forever. But yeah, I don't. I can handle sausage biscuits.
Sausage, biscuits, and dessert. Right?
Yeah,
is the diet. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm gonna let everybody know how that goes, and I'm writing a book about it. It's gonna be a bestseller.
It didn't work at the end.
Exactly. If I can figure out how to make this thing work, it's gonna be a bestseller.
Oh yeah, it.
We'll see how it goes. So there's three things, right? Let's just go over them really quick because most people know those that you kind of need to do. You need to plan. Have a plan as far as your recruiting goes. We talk about always having a system, that kind of thing. Right. And I'm just kind of summarizing here what we talked about. Everybody has the same amount of time.
That's right.
Right. So you just need to start time blocking that and say, This is my recruiting time. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is when I'm going to do it. We make it very easy, in the Brokerpreneur Fast Track to know exactly what you need to do. With our Monday update emails. And then again, making it a priority over the things that you're just talking about of trying to get away from your anxieties.
Right. Yeah.
But there's
feel different.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but there are a few different things, and we're going to give them a few little, things that they can do when the anxiety comes to maybe alleviate it or we'll just say decrease it just a little bit, because sometimes you can't make it all go away, but that doesn't mean you don't need to do what you need to do.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how to overcome the stress and give them 3 or 4 different ways that they can manage it.
Yeah. So I would think that the first one is just this isn't. I guess this is part of a solution, but this isn't on the show notes part of the solution. Let me just put this out there. First thing is that when it's happening, you have to acknowledge that it's happening. Mm-hmm. When you're anxious about it, you have to acknowledge when it's happening. Okay. Yeah. So if you're worried about doing the things that you need to recruiting and you see yourself like so on Friday evening, you're like, man, next week I'm going to crush it in recruiting. Mm-hmm. Right. And then Monday morning comes around and you realize that you haven't done anything that you're supposed to. And you're like, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I recruit and everything. You're feeling anxious about it. You're being distracted. You're allowing other things to happen, all that kind of stuff. The first thing you got to do is acknowledge that. Yeah. And as soon as you acknowledge it and you're like, okay, I'm BSing myself here. I'm not doing the stuff I need to and everything. That's when you start feeling anxious. That's when you're like, okay, but I got to get this done and I have to get that done and this has to happen and I need to do this and somebody just called and I got to return the phone call. And all of a sudden you start working yourself up. You just got to step back and realize, okay, why am I in that mode? Oh, that's right. Because I do have things to do. Yeah. But I also need to make sure I'm recruiting. Right. Yeah. So the first thing you got to do is just kind of acknowledge that.
Admit you have a problem.
That's right. That's exactly
First
right.
step.
Step 1 in recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to meditate. Yeah. Okay. So meditate. I don't mean sitting there with your legs crossed and hands on your knees going right. That's not what I'm saying.
It could be though.
It could be absolutely 100%. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean just clear your mind of all the crap.
Yeah.
Take just a minute and go, okay, wait a minute. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling a little bit worried here. I'm feeling a little bit distracted. I'm doing other things and I know I should be doing this. Just take a second, close your door, turn your ringer down on your phone for just a second, set a timer for 5 minutes, close your eyes, lean your head back, and just try to clear your mind of everything. When you come back from that, and I know everybody knows this, but when you meditate, it's not easy to clear your mind of everything. Okay?
Yeah.
Look at it like cleaning your garage out, right? I know you cleaned your garage this weekend.
I know, it's so funny. I was actually thinking about, now I got 2 stories I was going to think of that I was going to share. That's this one of them, but go ahead.
Yeah. So when you clean your garage out, it'd be nice to say, hey, here's everything in my garage and just throw it all away. And that way your garage is completely clean.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not what happens.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Right,
You're exactly right.
Right. But that's not what happens.
No.
So you get rid of some things and you keep other things. That's the same thing that happens when you're meditating.
Yeah.
When you're meditating, you'd love to be able to just clean the entire garage out.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens. Some things are going to stay. You're just trying to clean it out so that you can get around in the garage and things. It's a lot easier to get to things. It's a lot easier to open the refrigerator in there. It's a lot easier to do all the things that you need to do. That's exactly how you have to look at meditation.
Yeah.
You'd love to have that cleared out garage, but the truth is you're just clearing pathways to get to the information you need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. So the second one that we're going to talk about, and I got this little story about this, is practice, right? And everybody hears practice makes perfect. You say practice makes permanent. I've heard you say that before. I want to share a story, guys. I was like 13. I'm from Georgia. Everything's a damn story.
Right.
But I'm not from Georgia. It's just rubbing off. Hey, guys, this podcast is powered by Prospect Boomerang.
We all know broker owners struggle with profitability. Prospect Boomerang compounds your profits by recruiting the best agents to your brokerage.
For consistent growth, visit prospectboomerang.com. I was like 13. My dad had this, blue Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. And he said, I want you to wash my truck.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'll wash the truck. Right. It's the first time I'd, really washed a vehicle on my own. I've helped, but the first time it was like start to finish, this was going to be on me. So I go out there, wash it, and I feel like, man, I did a pretty good job. My dad comes out, and he's like, well, you missed a spot here, you missed a spot there, you missed a spot there. It's tough love is what it was, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, man. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, wash it again. Right, I had dried this thing, and it was like done.
Right.
And so I get it. I get hose, and I started doing the same. About 3 or 4 times, no joke, I washed this stinking truck. Right? It wasn't even blue when I was done.
Right.
It was like metal. And but on that 4th time, right, and every time it was a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. On that 4th time, I said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just gonna start with the hood. I'm just gonna make sure that I get every bit of the hood, and then I'm gonna do the front fender, wash that and sponge it down, and then rinse that off. Then I'm gonna do the door. Then I'm gonna do the bed. Then I'm gonna do the tailgate, and by the end of that, I got it dry and everything was done. I just had a plan.
Yeah.
Right. I had practiced it so many times in a row that to this very day, if I wash my car, I do the same thing. I start with the top of the car, and I wash it, and I rinse it, and I check it. Right. Then I do the windows. Then I do blah, blah. But I do it piece by piece by piece.
Yep.
Right. There's a system. There's a plan. It has been practiced and rehearsed and done over and over and over to where, like, I ain't missing a spot.
Right.
Right. My dad don't live with me. I don't live with my dad anymore. Is a better way to say it. But I don't miss a spot because it has just been practiced over and over and over. But the first time it was just a hot mess.
Yeah.
I was just trying to wash the whole thing. And
and that's absolutely what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happens. Good for your dad for getting that figured out.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, because that spilled over into a bunch of other things too, I'm sure.
Yep.
So whenever it comes to practicing, here's something I want you to make sure that you understand. If you're meeting with people and interviewing them, right? If you're setting appointments, if you're picking up the phone and making connections and calling, or if you're sending handwritten notes, or you're sending emails out to people, or whatever it is that you're doing to make your connections, if you're not practicing outside of doing that, then you're practicing on those people.
Yes, exactly.
And how you practice is how you perform.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Practice makes permanent. Practice
Yep.
makes permanent. Yep. So I want to make sure that people are practicing the way that they want things to come across. Okay, and so that absolutely will make a difference on relieving anxiety.
Yeah.
So I promise. Okay, if you're somebody listening to this podcast, it doesn't matter whether you're a client or you're just tuning into this or what. If you're struggling at all with recruiting, and you start practicing certain things, if you practice your connections, if you practice your appointment process, if you practice your interview, you will be excited to make those connections.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you own it.
Because you own it, and you're ready for it, and you want to try it out, and you want to see how it works. That practice will turn you into somebody that is over the anxiety of what the other things are going to happen, because it's eliminating that unknown.
Yeah.
That's part of what people stress about. What happens if this happens in the appointment? This allows you to be really focused on what's going to actually happen in the appointment if you practice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That first time I didn't really know what to expect. The second time
Right.
my dad came out and took that car, I had a lot of anxiety about it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Now I could wash it and I don't have any issues. I'll be like,
Right.
come on, check it out, Dad.
Yep.
Yeah,
Have
see
another look.
if you can do better.
Yep.
And that's and now I feel really good about it because I've always listened to all the wins.
Right.
Right. From
Absolutely.
of everything that I do, not just washing cars and not just recruiting. But let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you've got things that motivate you, that excite you about what it is that you're doing, right? So absolutely everybody should be listening to some kind of motivation, right? You should be listening to some kind of mentor. I happen to think this podcast is a great one. Okay. Yep. You don't need to implement, if you go back, we're at 160 podcasts, something like that.
162, I believe is what this is.
And then, almost 10,000 downloads, something like that. Some ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there's a lot of our information out there about this. I don't expect anyone to know all of it and put all of that in place.
I do.
Okay. So I don't expect that. But as you're going through this, I want you to be motivated to do the right thing and look at the things that you know that you're supposed to do. This helps do that.
Yeah.
Listening to this will help do that, right? So there's a ton of other motivational stuff. Go type the word motivation in on YouTube, right? Your phone will blow up.
Yeah,
right?
infinity pool.
Absolutely, and so there's a ton of places to look at for mentors and for motivation that are going to help you stay on the right side of your anxiety.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to have those things in place. One of the things about planning to not have an issue with anxiety and actually tricking yourself, fixing your mindset and tricking yourself to feel better about it is when you start to feel down, you should know exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I mean by that is as soon as it creeps in your head and you're like, man, I don't want to make those calls today. Man, I don't want to write those 10 notes that I need to. I don't want to write the greeting cards today for all the recruits that I talk to throughout the year. As soon as that pops in your head, you've got to have something else. Ooh, you know what I need to do? I need to listen to Dan Locke, right? I need to listen to Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I need to listen to whoever it is I need to listen to.
Yeah.
If you can convince yourself that when the anxiety creeps in, that you already have a solution of how to get your vibration back up, how to get your vibe in a different place. If you already have that, it's going to push you to that quickly, and then your anxiety is going to trigger the solution.
Yeah.
Your anxiety is actually going to trigger the motivation. So when you start to feel that way, and you know what I need to do? I need to listen to one of the Brokerpreneur podcasts.
Yeah.
You go and you listen to the podcast. Next thing you know, you're in a different place. You get those things done. You get them knocked out. The next time you feel anxious, you know how to get there because you've got your motivation, because you've got your mentor, and because you've got your momentum in place.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I want to bring this up because you mentioned it before, but sometimes it's okay is giving yourself a pass.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you don't want to give yourself a pass every single time
Right.
you got to recruit. And that's what you were talking about before. Like, come on, guys.
Right.
Right. You got GSD sometimes.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
every now and then there's just, there's just those times when it's just like, gosh, like not today.
Right.
Or not right now even. Right?
Absolutely.
And you got to give yourself those passes.
Right. How many passes do you give yourself is the key.
Exactly.
Right. Too many passes and you'll override the habit you're creating, but you're exactly right. You got to just ease up on yourself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Especially in the beginning, right?
Yep.
You got to figure out, just say, listen, this is, I'm in this habit, I'm in this direction, I'm in this mindset, I'm going, I'm trying really hard to get this done, but this is what's happening. Give yourself a damn break and go, you know what, we're going to try it again tomorrow. We're going to get better, and we're going to do some of the things which we'll talk about in the action item that'll actually just make things so much smoother for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get to that action item, guys, I'm going to summarize really quick and then put a little bow on this. If you're having anxiety due to lack of planning, lack of timing, not having your priorities straight, there are a few things that you can do. This is a short list. There's a long list of things that you could go and take a look at. But I think these would be great places for you to start, and that's with meditation, making sure that you get plenty of practice from a recruiting standpoint, so you feel comfortable just when someone comes in for an appointment or an interview. Make sure that you're listening to some things that are motivating. Maybe keep a journal of all your wins and just go back and read that journal. I know Matt loves journaling, so do I, and it's just a great practice to have in all aspects of your life. And then lastly, give yourself a pass. If it's just one of those days, or something's going on, or maybe there's something's going on even personally that nobody else knows about. And it's affecting those things. Take a deep breath, take a step back. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just make sure you don't give yourself that's exactly right. Just make sure that you don't give yourself a pass every single day. Like, oh man, the sun's too bright today.
Right.
Give myself a pass.
Another pass for the day.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, before we get to the action item, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, what's up?
What up?
Hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell right beside of it. You get notified every time we drop a new episode. There's no better time than the present than to go to Brokerpreneur Podcast. I'm gonna throw that in there now. Brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Sign up for a weekly newsletter where we send you, just some really cool recruiting information, some funny videos. I always try to throw something funny in there, with everything that I do to kind of give you a laugh, because again, recruiting should be something fun and something that you should enjoy. Dreadful. That's exactly right. So Matt, hit us up with an action item, man.
So coaching clients, I talk to them about this a pretty decent amount. This is something that's a really good practice. I believe everyone that is in sales in general should be doing this. Okay. Let alone anyone that is a manager in sales, let alone someone that is recruiting and a manager in sales. Right. Yeah. You got to record yourself. Right. You gotta record yourself and it's kind of like journaling, but it's a very digital format. Right.
Yep.
And some of the ways you can record yourself, when something good happens, make a recording.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you hang up, you get you had a great phone call with somebody, you hang up with it and everything, have the record button on the home page of your phone, just click it and go, hey, I just hung up with somebody. They said this, I responded with this. It was absolutely fantastic. I could tell by the tone of their voice that it was taken back and it was something that moved them in the right direction, just absolutely freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And when you need it, go back and listen to that.
Yeah. Right. No. Yeah. That's so good. I love that, and I do that with my boys.
Yeah.
I got like little recorders. That you'd have like back in the '80s when you want to record your teacher or something.
Right. Right.
Got those, and I always I leave them little messages that they can play, like if they're going out of town or that kind of thing, nice. And I'm not with them, or something just tough's going on, they can go and take a listen to that. So I absolutely fantastic. Love that action item.
So also scripts. You also want to record yourself with scripts, right?
Yep.
So go through your script, say it wrong a bunch of times, delete those, say the one that is right, and then move on. Practice your scripts. So your recruiting pillars for your interviews. Mm-hmm. Okay, so your recruiting interview pillars. Make sure that you're recording those and you're tracking your 5 options. We talk about that, especially in coaching. And then your outbound calls, right? So I don't mean record the people that you're calling on the other end necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. I mean just you pick up and you make the phone call and have a recorder sitting there and listen to what you say. Yeah, you're gonna hear some things that are gonna help you. You're gonna go back and listen to and go, what we struggle with. Unfortunately, and this is where all the anxiety comes from, and where the feelings and all that kind of come into place. What we're thinking in our head and what we're feeling in our head, we think comes through in what we say. Yeah. Okay, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times what's happening is we think something's not going a certain way, and we get anxious about it. And then when we go back and listen to it, we're like, oh, that didn't come through. But, oh, my God, I said that horribly wrong.
You're like, why was I breathing so hard?
That's exactly right. Why did I sound like I was about to pass out? Right? All of those things matter. And if you're recording it, you can hear those. So just once a day, record something.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe today's the day that you do is record your script. Maybe today's the day you record your recruiting pillar interview pillars. Maybe today's the day you do outbounds or motivation, or you take a clip from the podcast and you listen to it, or you record yourself saying something that you just heard Tony Robbins say, or Brian Buffini, or Tom Ferry, or whoever, right?
Yeah.
You just take those things and just start getting in the habit of recording them and going back and listening to them.
Yeah,
and I promise it'll help you tremendously, because it'll keep you in perspective, and it'll make you feel differently about what you're doing.
Yep, I love it. Well, Matt.
Yeah, Ben.
I know you and I love recording things.
Yeah, it turns out.
Right, and one of those is this podcast.
Yep.
And we record this podcast for one reason, and one reason alone. Tell them why that is, Matt.
Because we just want to be part of their win.
Merry Christmas.